What's up everyone? Today we are taking a look at the biggest fashion trends for Fall-Winter 2026. If Spring-Summer was defined by a sense of looseness and fluid ease, this season marks a move toward structure and a sense of luxury. The industry is shifting away from purely oversized fits to explore a sharper, slimmer silhouettes. This season, designers are zooming in on details. Small elements like colors, cuffs, waists, and textures are becoming the main storytelling devices. There is also a strong return to traditional menswear coats, military garments, field jackets, plaids, nautical references, classic knitwear, but everything is filtered through a modern lens, often exaggerated, elongated, or subverted. Leather continues to dominate, but now in more specific and luxurious forms, like python and crocodile. Tailoring becomes slimmer, coats become sharper, waists are cinched. Meanwhile, military coats are back for another season, now reinterpreted through a field-ready utilitarian lens. Alright, without further ado, here are the biggest fashion trends for Fall-Winter 2026. Menswear is revisiting heritage coats this season through nautical-inspired knitwear that comes with Ivy/preppy refinement. We are talking sailor color sweaters, fisherman ribs, polo color knits, and half-zip stand color sweaters. There is a moodiness to it, heavy wool, dense ribbing, and deep, earthy tones. Nautical-inspired knitwear was a particular focus for designers like Dolce & Gabbana. The collection prioritized massive, chunky gauge sweaters in moody shades. The statement knits felt imposing and almost architectural, with a focus entirely on the necklines, featuring exaggerated, widespread colors and oversized stand colors that framed the face. Xenia used rich, tactile ribbing that felt substantial yet soft. The collection featured asymmetrical spread color knits, polo color sweaters in a palette of warm tobacco, cream, and stone gray. Hugo Boss leaned into a polished, urban take on coastal style, their version of Nautical Prep, centered on half-zip stand colors and chunky spread color cardigans. After seasons dominated by oversized shapes, the pendulum is swinging back toward a leaner, more precise silhouette. The slim coat is back. These coats offer simplicity of form. They are defined by sharp shoulders, narrow lapels, and a silhouette that follows the natural shape of the body. This trend offers a more disciplined, refined take on traditional winter outerwear. Prada sets the tone in Milan by championing slim outerwear. The opening passage featured soft-shouldered, narrowly tailored overcoats, both single and double-breasted, echoing the house signature lean elegance. The palette stayed moody and utilitarian. At Jill Zander, silhouettes were long and streamlined, with coats cut narrow that seemed to embrace the torso underneath. Slightly cinched at the waist, they visually broke the straight line of traditional tailoring and felt expressive rather than rigid. At Dries Van Noten, a wide array of slim coats appeared in elongated, sharp-shouldered silhouettes. They featured the rich surface texture. We had fringe, subtle, abstract patterns, and deep jacquards. They added visual depth to the narrow shapes. The return of military-inspired fashion feels inseparable from the world's current state of unrest. Fashion has always reflected the political and social climate, and given the ongoing wars and economic instability, designers are turning to military coats to express the tension of the times. Last season's Napoleon jacket revival has opened the door to a broader exploration of military coats in outerwear. At and Demoulemeister, military coats were filtered through the brand's signature dark romanticism. The jackets strongly referenced 18th and 19th century military uniforms with rows of metal buttons and precise tailoring. Some looks resembled ceremonial officer uniforms with fringe-trimmed capelets and subtle gold piping details. At Dior, Jonathan Anderson played with sharp contrasts. Cropped officer jackets with double rows of buttons and structured shoulders were styled with punk-inspired wigs and chunky statement necklaces. Several looks also incorporated classic military details such as epaulets and decorative braiding. At Yohji Yamamoto, military-inspired uniforms in muted camouflage set the tone. Fabrics appeared almost weathered, as if stained by time and use. Some looks were filtered through a lens of utility and deconstruction. Camouflage appeared not as a clean print, but as layered, distressed surface that felt worn, torn, and rebuilt. This season, designers fixated on details, and no detail got more attention than the color. The stacked color trend is about intentionally layering shirt colors, polo necks, blazer lapels, and coat colors, so that each tier remains visible, intentional, and part of the look. Nothing is tucked away, every color is meant to be seen. What makes this trend so visually compelling is the contrast it creates. For instance, a white shirt color set against darker outerwear. The Japanese brand Oral-Lee explored layered depth through stacked colors. In one standout look, a shirt color set over a red V-neck polo color, which was then layered atop a blazer lapel. 3 tiers, 3 colors. At Gilles Under, crisp white shirt colors were stacked over blazer lapels, this time arranged asymmetrically, one tucked in, the other peeking out. As creative director Simone Bellotti noted, these details are like the olive in a martini, not essential, but the extra touch that makes the cocktail perfect. Dries Van Noten took the stacked colors into the realm of artistic maximalism. Famous for his eclectic use of colors and prints, creative director Julian Klausner utilized the neck area as a canvas for dense, multi-layered storytelling. Plaid dominated menswear this season, appearing in countless variations from classic tartans to gingham and buffalo checks. Plaid connects preppy heritage, grunge history, and military tradition into one versatile pattern. This season, its use felt particularly intentional and expressive, a rebellious touch that spiced up collections and conveyed a sense of bravery, strength, and defiance, something deeply needed in today's world. At MM6 Maison Margiela, classic flannel checks were incorporated into looks that felt super wearable, comfortable, and stylish all at once. The plaids came in consistently warm, muted tones. We had kind of faded, lived-in plaids that felt more thrift store than Scottish Highlands. At Diesel, creative director Glenn Martins leaned into a gritty, 90s-inspired grunge aesthetic with an urban, utilitarian edge. Deep forest green flannel shirts were tied loosely around the waist to build a layered silhouette. Plaids were spotted also at Marni, where Belgian designer Meryl Roge made her debut for Fall-Winter 2026. Her version of Marni was slightly punk. It echoed the founder's long-standing aversion to anything overly pretty, girly, or merely cute. Leather continues to dominate this season, now taking on more exotic and luxurious forms, such as Python leather. Python carries strong symbolism. It feels both exotic and hypnotic. It can appear elegant yet intimidating at the same time. Python leather was seen across a wide range of garments, including outerwear, pants, and footwear. Python boots with a Cuban heel were the statement footwear at Deer. Jonathan Anderson designed two variations, one with elasticated side panels reminiscent of a Chelsea boot, and the other featuring a buckle strap closure. The color palette was bold and diverse, including unexpected shades like deep red and rich purple. Python footwear was also prominent at Dries Van Noten, where Julian Klausner opted for flat-soled styles. Sleek flat shoes, low-top sneakers, and wrestling shoes were all rendered in Python patterns. At Gucci, Demna used Python in his debut collection to inject glam rock energy. The looks included Python leather pants and Python print tops. Kid Super went all in on Python leather this season. The classic Python pattern was reworked with Baroque-inspired swirling shapes, giving it an almost ornamental, artful vibe. Alongside Python, Croc embossed leather emerged as another key exotic texture this season. Compared to Python, crocodile leather is its cooler, more composed counterpart. Its pattern is more restrained and subtle, yet still adds depth and richness without overwhelming the garment. It feels less like a print and more like a finish, which is exactly what makes it look so luxurious. At Hermes, Véronique Nichanian went all in on Croc Leather for her final collection for the house. Croc leather pants, suits, and overcoats were rendered in a mood of quiet, absolute luxury. The Croc leather stood out through its rich, glossy finish, in line with the house signature sense of refinement and understated opulence. Pharrell Williams also favored crocodile leather this season. In his collection for Louis Vuitton, he focused on bomber jackets crafted entirely from croc embossed leather. At Gucci, Demna designed a crocodile leather biker jacket. The look carried a night hero vibe, sexy, masculine, and seductively opulent. The upcoming season marks the return of men's skirts. They reached peak popularity a few years ago, before gradually fading from the spotlight. This time, skirts feel more organic. They are no longer framed as provocation or disruption. Men's skirts also reflect a broader cultural shift in menswear toward personal expression, experimentation, and a more genderless approach to dressing. This season, kilts were particularly popular, alongside short skirt hybrids. At Deer, Jonathan Anderson designed long wrap skirts. One iteration came in a gold and black floral jacquard, while another resembled a lightweight, blanket-like textile. The collection also featured knitted tunic skirt hybrids with high side slits, styled with rugged Chelsea boots and socks. Sakai approached the men's skirt through its signature lens of hybridization. The skirt was reimagined as a modular layer, seamlessly integrated into the architecture of the pants. The designer merged two different pant styles into a single garment. The top layer reads as a voluminous wide-leg trouser, cut at the knee to reveal a slim trouser leg underneath. This construction creates a visual effect of a skirt. At Thom Browne, the pleated kilt has long been a house staple, and this season is no exception. The collection showcased a wide range of pleated kilts, sometimes worn as standalone pieces and at other times layered directly over matching trousers. One of the most significant silhouette shifts of Fall/Winter 26 is the return of the defined cinched waist. The cinched waist is achieved through garment construction or external belts, and it creates defined hourglass-inspired silhouette. After several seasons dominated by boxy shapes, fashion is once again reclaiming the waist as a key design focal point. At Prada, the cinched waist appeared as a recurring construction detail across outerwear. Jackets and coats were sharply gathered at the midsection using built-in or external belts. At Valentino, Alessandro Michele approached the cinched waist with his signature romanticism. He used wide obi-style sashes wrapped and tied at the waist in contrasting colors, while in other looks, oversized robes and coats were simply cinched with an external belt. At Saint Laurent, Anthony Vaccarello also favored a cinched waist and an hourglass silhouette. Broad-shouldered suits narrowed into a sharply defined waist, creating a pronounced V taper. In other looks, leather trench coats were cinched using external belts. At Burberry, Daniel Lee used the cinched waist to ground his exploration of British outdoors wear in more refined, elegant territory. The silhouette was anchored by heavy floor-length overcoats and structured trench coats that were pulled tight at the waist with matching belts. Detailing is everything this season, and the wrists have become a new area for experimentation. The statement cuff trend is about deliberately exaggerating or dramatizing that sleeve detail. Designers explored extra long sleeves, turned up cuffs, shirt sleeves picking from jackets, and even oversized fur-trimmed cuffs engulfing the entire wrist. This trend highlights the idea that even the smallest details can reshape a garment's entire silhouette. Prada turns the statement cuff into a signature detail of the collection. Contrasting shirt cuffs were exaggerated and extended, protruding from beneath suits, coats, and knitwear. Sometimes they flared outward, interrupting the arm's vertical line. Other times, they were oversized and folded back. These cuffs were deliberately distressed, as if marked by time and use, like traces of smoke and old coffee stains. Saint Laurent redefined the wrist with a messy utilitarian edge. Shirt cuffs were elongated and exaggerated, then bundled and secured with slim black straps, creating a gathered, ruffled effect that disrupted the sharp lines of the tailoring. At Endemol Mister, statement cuffs came with theatrical edge. Lace, ruffles, and long ribbons extended from blazer and jacket sleeves. It was unmistakably romantic and gothic, fully aligned with the house DNA. Leather pants appeared on nearly every runway this season. Their renewed popularity lies in their timeless appeal. They have played a significant role in fashion across various eras and subcultures, symbolizing freedom, rebellion, and individuality. This season, designers have recontextualized this iconic garment within a contemporary wardrobe. Today, leather pants embody luxury, open-mindedness, and a forward-thinking attitude. Hermès redefined leather pants not as a statement piece, but as a wardrobe essential. They anchored the entire collection, appearing in a variety of fits, from relaxed to slim-fitting. It was the farewell collection of Véronique Nichanian, marking the end of her 37-year tenure as a house menswear designer. Similar to Hermès, leather pants played a prominent role at Burberry. Since joining the house, Daniel Lee has broadened its idea of British, moving beyond the classic countryside gentleman toward a more complex identity, shaped by subcultural and rebellious influences. Leather pants also stood out at Marni. As new creative director Meryl Roge explained, the looks reflect a Marni man who is interested in fashion but not defined by it, someone who lives in his clothes rather than poses in them. The field jacket is a military-derived, utility-inspired, and highly versatile piece that continues its reign in menswear. Its prominence comes as no surprise given the dominance of utilitarian and military-inspired trends over the past few seasons. With multiple pockets and a rugged construction, it prioritizes function while remaining adaptable enough to work just as well in the city as in the outdoors. At Dior, the field jacket is used to create sharp contrasts. A tough, military-inspired piece is paired with a neat skirt and a punk-inspired wig, colliding discipline, fluidity, and rebellion. At Louis Vuitton, Pharrell Williams reimagined the field jacket through a luxurious outdoorsman lens, turning it into a high-end urban explorer uniform. Cinched Waist push the silhouette closer to safari jackets, emphasizing its utilitarian roots. I also want to quickly mention a few other trends that did not make it into the top 12. We had also capes and capelets, ski sweaters, jumpsuits, fur coats, and transparent outerwear. Alright, that was it for today. Hope you enjoyed the trends and got something out of it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.